out. To the end zone. It's Robinson for the touchdown.
All right, what's up, everyone? We are back with our Week 6 pregame show out of High Bear Nation. I am your host, as always, Ace, and my guy Turtle's here with me tonight. What's up, Turtle?
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm just excited for what hopefully is going to be a pretty good Bears game.
I mean, it can't get worse tonight than it was last week, right? That game was awful.
Easy.
No way.
Be careful.
I refuse to believe that this game.
Be careful what you say.
Dude, if it's like that, I'm going to be in bed before halftime because, dude, that game last week was brutal to watch. As a football fan, that was probably one of the worst football games I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely stretches there where it didn't seem like either team really wanted to win.
Yeah, nobody cared. They were just like, well, you can have the ball. I don't think a single touchdown was scored in that game. Maybe one. But it was a brutal.
I think Dalvin Cook ran one in, didn't he?
I'm not sure 100%, but I do know that it was a very slow, sloppy game.
Yeah, it really was.
The Broncos looked awful. Russell Wilson, he's kind of a shell of himself.
I said Dalvin Cook, and we went two different directions there. I thought you were.
Oh, you were talking about the Bears game.
Bears game.
No, I was talking about.
No, there was not a touchdown in the Thursday night game.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful fucking game.
That was absolutely probably the worst football game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, as a football fan, that's not what you tune into. I'm sure Amazon wasn't too thrilled about.
I mean, a lot of Thursday games have been bad, right? Like teams are on short weeks, short turnarounds. So they always have that chance, but last week especially was like,
yeah, it was rough.
I saw the memes come out about this is the third time. I'm a Broncos fan, and this is the third time I've seen them in prime time. I'm tired of watching this team.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it is with the Bears
all
too,
over
right?
the place.
That's kind of how it is with the Bears too, though. You know, Sunday Night Football. If the Bears didn't play Sunday Night Football for the rest of the year, I'd be happy.
No, especially Thursdays too. You get Chris Collinsworth and his dumb ass.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Vikings and Bears on Sunday. Bears ended up losing 29-22. Justin Fields and that offense were making their way down the field, man. And then, guy doesn't go out of bounds as he should. And literally the Vikings player ripped the ball right out of his hands. And that was the game. What are your thoughts on how that game went?
They're kind of in this pattern here. The Bears start off really, really slow. It's like they almost take the first half off.
Right.
I love the fact that this coaching staff makes such great game plan changes at halftime. Now I would like to see them start to make those changes on the fly.
Yeah.
And I know, from being involved with football, I get it. It's very hard to make wholesale changes on the fly because there's so much going on and it's hard to get everybody on the same page when they're all. But from the opening kick to the second quarter, you got to tell me at some point you got to be able to identify it and get a hold of your players. Even I don't care if, and obviously. Eberflus is the main guy on defense, but I know his name's is losing me, but the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Williams or something like that.
Yeah, he was the safety secondary coach with Indy last year.
Yep.
I don't know if he's up
Alan Williams.
Alan Williams. I don't know if he's up in the booth or if he's on the sideline, but whatever it is, even if he's upstairs, I mean, at some point you got to come down. Even if you got to come down yourself, come down and get the defense together and be like, look, we're going to do this. Like, why wait to the second half?
Right, because at some point you're going to go against a team that's going to just have you completely dead to rights by halftime. And if you can't make the small adjustments...
Well, I mean, that's what happened in the Green Bay game.
Right.
They couldn't make the adjustments till halftime. When they finally made the adjustments, they were already out of the game.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially with an offense that really isn't high-powered at this point. So it's not like, your offense is keeping you in the game and you're like, all right, we'll just make the changes at half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could turn around and be down 21 points before you get to the half. So, but yeah, it's been that way all year. Like, they've been a very, very good second half team. You'd like to see them kind of do some of that stuff now earlier and be able to fix that stuff and, keep yourself in the game before getting to halftime.
So a lot of the early season, preseason kind of talk was wins don't really matter. It's the development of Fields. You and I have talked about this. Tarbill and I have talked about this. You and Tarbill have talked about this. Justin Fields and his development is really what we're kind of focused on mostly this season, right? What did you think of his play this past Sunday, but then also the game before he started to take a couple steps forward as well? Last week on Sunday seemed to be the most comfortable in the second half that I've seen him play, especially this year. He looked more under control of his offense. He looked more confident in himself while he was out there. What did you see?
I think they kind of go hand in hand with, yes, I definitely think he's been taking steps in the right direction. The end of 2 games ago, and then the entire game last week. But I think that also goes, I think we've seen the play calling be a little better.
Yeah.
Definitely last week, I think the play calling was better, and I think they put him in more opportunities to succeed. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand that we saw him play his best football, but when we also saw the best play calling. So
fact.
Minnesota's kind of, we got a decent secondary. It's not great, but it's decent. They've played pretty well, but I thought he made the right choices. I thought he decided to run a little sooner. DC still only 21 pass attempts.
Yeah, but you know what I like to see, and I know it was only the one big pass down the field that kind of boosted that 208 yardage, but it seemed like once that pass happened, he was like, okay, let's go. Like, that's the play that they needed to spark that offense. They ended up scoring on that play before halftime. Came out of halftime, were just as fired up. They scored 19 straight points, and took the lead at one point in that game. And your defense couldn't, get a stop at the end of the game, which I think the Bears, if they were able to have held on to that ball, I think they pull out the win with a field goal at the end.
I do as well.
I do think that Justin has shown a lot of bright spots in terms of running the ball. And you've seen that in that Vikings game. If it wasn't for a stupid block in the back penalty, he's off to the races with a touchdown. And that's a completely different game at that point. And I think it was kind of a ticky-tack call, but a good acting job mostly. But I like to see that he's kind of started to go through his progressions a little more. And then he's definitive on, okay, I'm running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like, oh, well, I'll try to run. Maybe I'll stop. Maybe I'll throw. He's been, making this final, okay, I'm going to throw or I'm going to run the ball. And I think that's really helping this offense kind of have a little bit more of a fluid motion to them, moving the ball down the field.
Yeah, I think, the one thing with him running is I'd like to see him get a little better ball control. He, whether it's in the pocket or especially running, he tends to put the ball in the turf a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that means we adjust how he carries the ball, talk to him about going down before making that last extra play, whatever it is, but he's got to get better at control, holding on to the football.
Yeah. And, we'll go into the bare bones segment in a little bit, but one of my things that I'm hoping to see a little bit better improvement on is going to be that center QB exchange. It's been brutal to watch. Not even just the exchange, but just the center play all in general. You know, Fields is that guy's falling into his lap, right as the ball snapped. It's made that whole offense kind of clunky. And then I don't know about you, but every time this team seems to struggle right away like that, it takes a minute for them to get going again. And I want to see them be able to kind of just with a quick start. Okay, hey, no penalties. Everybody's on the field like they're supposed to be. It's just I want to see Lucas Patrick. I know that he's kind of struggled in other areas, but I can't believe that it would be worse than Sam Mustipher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because I think we saw that first initial burst of Sam Mustipher, what was that, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I think it was so coincidental that it occurred right at the same time they got to the weak part of the last 3 weeks of the schedule.
Right.
And the line played better. He played really well. And we all were like, okay, we got ourselves a player.
Yep.
And then as he's gotten more and more opportunities, you really see the flaws and holes in his game, and why he was drafted where he was, and all the why it took so long for him to get a chance and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What so that Vikings game, the Bears defense, out of both sides of the ball, the defense is what scared me the most, right? They make Kirk Cousins look all worldly in that first half.
What did he start? 17 for 17?
Yeah, 17 for 17, yep. With 3 touchdowns.
I mean, my thing is, without Jalen Johnson, I expected the Bears to get blown out. I thought the Minnesota passing game was just going to take over, but I thought it was going to be because they couldn't contain Justin Jefferson.
Right.
Which they couldn't. But other guys ate too. Like that 17 for 17, a lot of that wasn't Jefferson. Thielen had his best game of the year. Irv Smith had a great game. I forget the other receiver that they were throwing to, but Cousins was spreading that ball out for 17 for 17. It was, it's hard because this team isn't very good. And sometimes we would like them to do certain things, but there's few things with the caliber team they are right now. There's very few opportunities where they have to dominate.
Right.
And I think that was one of those where you could get to Kirk Cousins, you could rattle him, you could make him throw the ball away, you could defend him, different things that we've seen him struggle with all year that, like you said, he came out of the gate 17 for 17, like, this shit is a cakewalk.
Yep.
So,
I mean, he had 12 receptions for 154 yards.
Yeah. But a lot
there was as much space between the defenders, between you and I, as the defenders gave him.
Right.
And I'm in Wisconsin. So, I mean, I get it. Justin Jefferson was probably going to have a big game either way. You're down Jalen Johnson.
Right.
But it was a struggle for them. And I'm not really sure how to fix that, especially the pressure on the quarterback, right? That's something we haven't seen a lot this season, is their ability to, with the front four, get that pressure onto the quarterback. Robert Quinn's, MIA most of the year so far. Travis Gibson is a guy that we all had kind of high hopes for going into the season.
And so far it's just been flashes. It hasn't been, that consistent high quality play.
Yep. And it's a little concerning. This week you're going up against a team that's, Carson Wentz is far from a top tier quarterback, but they have a solid running game. They have a couple nice weapons on offense. Carson Wentz seems to play well in Thursday nights, but what are your kind of thoughts on how this game tonight is going to transpire?
For me, and I think we'll cover part of that in the bare bones, but I think for me, part of what we need to see, this defense has to come out and play well. Like they can't just come out and play okay.
Right.
First off, Thursday night, the defenses usually look better than the offenses on Thursday night, even when they're good offenses.
Right.
Neither one of these teams has one of those. Neither one of these teams has an offense that you say scares you as a defense.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz has been very inconsistent. The run game, they got Brian Robinson back last week, which on a side note was very nice to see him out there after everything that happened this offseason with him getting shot.
Right.
I think it was nice to see him make his debut in just week 5, where that was obviously could have cost him his life, but even could have cost him his career. So it was nice to see that all he lost was 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But they added Brian Robinson last week. They still got Antonio Gibson who can run the ball. J.D. McKissick he's in his usual catch the ball out of the backfield type role. They got Terry McLaurin, but that's really the rookie Dotson. But whether it's Wentz, whether it's the offensive line, whatever it is, they haven't seemed to be able to sustain many long drives this year. There are a lot of 3 and outs. So, as a defense, it's one of those where you got to circle it. Like you just got to go out there and be good, like be better than them.
Right.
Well, yeah, like I spoke on earlier, there's not many opportunities this year where they have the clear-cut advantage. I think this is one of those games. I think even, trying to keep expectations in check here, I think it's still a game that they should dominate from start to finish. Washington is not very good. I believe Logan Thomas is hurt. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight or not, but they haven't got much out of the tight end position.
And Carson Wentz is dealing with a bicep.
Right. Carson Wentz has a bicep. So, it's one of those games. They're coming off a short rest too. So, I just really would like to see the defense come out and dominate this game and really not ever let Washington into this game.
Well, how about this? How about we jump into the bare bones and then we can talk about all these topics. All right. All right, this is our bare bones segment. For those of you that have followed along with us throughout the season, we give our 3 opinions on who we think or what position we think needs to step up in order for the Bears to be victorious. Turtle, since you already brought it up, we will. Why don't we start with your 3? Your number 3 spot is somebody that we had talked about. I think is just as important. N'Keal Harry. Why don't you give me some input on why you think he's going to be a big time player in this game?
I think there was a lot of excitement when the Bears brought him in. Everyone was looking for the Bears to address that number 1 receiver issue, and whether it was going to be Darnell Mooney, whether it was going to be somebody else, and then they made that trade for N'Keal Harry with New England, and I thought it was a great trade. I think they gave a 7th round pick or something for him.
Yeah.
He's what the Bears don't have. He's a big body. He goes 6'4", 225. He's a big dude. He's fast, so he can stretch the field even at 6'4". It takes a little pressure off Darnell Mooney, especially without Pringle and some of these guys right now. You're asking Darnell Mooney to be that field stretcher and the number 1. And so I think it takes a little pressure off him, and it gives somebody – for Justin, if all else fails, just throw the ball up and let him go, at least try to get it, or at the very least not let the other team get it.
Right.
I think he's a guy that, New England's weird, man. You've seen a lot of dudes come through New England and just never really pan out to be who you thought they'd be. Yeah. And on the other side of the coin, you've seen a lot of guys flourish there that you really wouldn't think would. So I don't really put a whole lot of chalk into what happened with him in New England. I think it just was a bad situation for him, whether it was him, whether it was the coaching staff, whether it was Josh McDaniels, whatever it was. But I'm excited for Justin to get, maybe we don't know his talent yet because we haven't got to see him, but he's got the body of a number one receiver.
Yep.
You know, that big body, fast receiver that can go stretch the field, can go up and get the ball at the peak and all those things. You know, and for him, it's big for him. He's finally making his debut. You know, he was really excited going to the season. He got hurt. But now it's on him. Like, you've been given a second chance and to have an NFL life. Like, now you have to go out and prove that you're worth it and that you can go out and be that guy that you were in college. You know, coming out of college, there was a lot of hype around him. He was – They were talking he could be the first receiver off the board. And so, you know, now it's time. It's put up or shut up, as they say. It's time for him to go out there and make this offense better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's coming at a time where the Bears wide receivers are still kind of struggling, other than Darnell Mooney. You've seen, you know, St. Brown had a couple nice contributions in last week's game, but yeah. Pettis had 2 balls that were thrown to him right in his hands.
I really hope that it means less of him. I'm done with the Dante Pettis experiment. At this point, I'm ready for them to just send him packing or just leave him on the bench, whatever. But yeah, you know, we've seen them all struggle. St. Brown, he's going to be your complimentary receiver, but to this point in his career, he's never been a guy that you could count on, you know, from play in, play out, to be a consistent contributor.
Right.
But, you know, if they get, you know, with Harry, if he could play pretty good, you get N'Keal Harry, you get Darnell Mooney. If they can figure out the offensive line, you can get Cole Kmet. You know, the thing, and I don't mean to take this on a side road here, but, you know, watching the Bears, I can't help. So I was watching a lot of the games as we talked about last week on Turtles Take. I was watching a lot of the games over, you know, the scout film, the more panned out view. I know what they do with Cole Kmet, where they use him as the blocker. I just have to wonder I would rather see them put another tight end in as blocker to help out on the line and put Cole Kmet on the outside as one of the receiver spots, and maybe run N'Keal Harry, Darnell Mooney, and Cole Kmet in 3 receiver sets, and then maybe get St. Brown in there too. I think he's played okay, but I think I'd run between those 4 as receivers and kind of go from there and kind of spread the field out a little bit and let Justin have more clear lanes, let him have less defenders to worry about. It's harder to come after him when you're spreading the field because the defense is spread out. But I would like to see them involve Cole Kmet more in the offense than just blocking, and hopefully N'Keal Harry coming in just adds another weapon.
So what we kind of seen throughout the season so far is any guy that's come back from an injury, they've really slow played him back in. Lucas Patrick, they've had him in, and you know that him and Tevin Jenkins were switching spots for a little while. Velus Jones, his first game back, all he did was return kicks.
Right.
You've seen a little more action from him last week. And I think adding Harry to this offensive core of, you know, Mooney, Jones, and now Harry, I think those are 3 guys that at least give Justin more options than just, oh, hey, Darnell Mooney's down the field. I got to just hope that he can get this ball. You know what I mean? You can only make so many one-handed, you know, back shoulder grabs, you know, in a season. And he's done a good job. Mooney's done a good job of going up and getting that ball, but you need some guys that can get separation, that can get the ball and get those yards after catch and do something. You talk about the speed of all these guys all off season, but all we're doing is sending them down the field, but they can't get separation. I would like to see them utilize Harry in a way where, you know, he's able to do a couple quick slants, maybe a couple screens, give him the ball, let him see what he can do, get his feet wet. And then you give Justin a couple quick completions too, which helps build his confidence. We'll go into my number 3 is the center position. It's no surprise the last, you know, all season we've seen struggles between the center quarterback exchange. Fumbles, you know, Justin's having to dive down into all those bodies. It's kind of a blessing that he hasn't been hurt yet. You know, he's diving down there with his arm. I would like to see them get that under control. unfortunately, I don't think Sam Mustipher is going to be the guy to get that under control. You know, and I know they got Lucas Patrick. I don't know if he's expected to start. I've been looking and I can't find anything definitive that says.
Yeah, I never did hear an announcement on that.
Yeah, but you know, they brought him in to be the starter at the center position, but he's also looked to struggle at times this season on the line as well. And I know that it's far shot to find any real upgrade this point in the season, but I think to gain a little more confidence for Justin, you have to at least the exchange, right?
Right.
You can't have Justin like last week. He was going up to change the protection and Mustipher snaps the ball at him.
Right.
You know, you got a young quarterback who's already kind of struggling to find that confidence. And then you do that and it's just like a shot in the foot.
Right.
So I would love to see Mustipher at least take a little bit of a step forward until Patrick gets in there. You know, we can only hope at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's certain things that you can place at the feet of Justin Fields, and then there's certain things you can't. And I think the pressure, the exchange, those things that are happening on the offensive line are not on him. And,
right.
You know, he's got so much going on already that then when you add having to worry about, well, am I going to get the right exchange? Am I going to, you know, all those things. So hopefully, like you said, we just want to see whether it's Mustipher, Patrick, whoever's in that center position. We just want to see them look better, play better, you know, solidify that spot where you're not only are you setting the stakes of the offensive line, but now you're pushing the other line and reestablish the line of scrimmage.
Yep, absolutely, man. Your number 2, we kind of talked about this a little bit, and now that we're in the bare bones segment, we can kind of get a little more in depth on this topic. You think the number 2 is the defense?
Yeah, you know, I think, and we kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier, I just think this is a game that it's set up for the defense to have a great game. You know, we went over the struggles that this Washington offense has had this year. They haven't looked real good. The offensive line has not played well. In fact, I believe our boy Charles Leno is a starter over there.
Yep.
So, you know, I mean, it goes without saying for him. But I just, you know, I think this is a game that, you know, Roquan has to look the part, right? Like Roquan has to be the best player on the field tonight.
Yep.
You know, you want to be paid the number 1 linebacker in football. Well, these are the games that you have to look like the number 1 linebacker in football. You know, Jaquan Brisker's had a very good start to this season. Kyler Gordon is getting better every week. Jalen Johnson's back tonight.
Yep.
You know, it means Jalen Johnson, and we've seen it before. Obviously every defense is different, but I would like to see Jalen Johnson shadow Terry McLaurin all game. You know, I understand defenses do what they do, but there's plenty of teams that they look. You're on him all night.
Yep.
You know, New Orleans does it with Marshawn Lattimore. Jalen Ramsey does it a lot. I mean, there's plenty of corners in this league that certain games they get the number 1 receiver and that's it. They say, oh, well, I'm going to take this receiver out of the game, and all you guys got to do is worry about everybody else.
Right, and that's how it used to be, right? You know, yeah, guys. Right. You know, Richard Sherman is a bad example. He just stuck to one side, but you know, but you want to see him come back, and you know, before he was injured, nobody was really targeting that side of the field for the guys, right? And if that means that, okay, well, you got to shadow their best receiver to make sure that he's not going to be somebody that beats you, then sometimes you have to shuffle the way you do things. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think with Jalen coming back, I mean, we get a little closer to what we expect to be the starting defense going forward. You know, with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon as the starting corners, and Brisker and Eddie Jackson back there. You know, Eddie's played great this year. You know, he's probably been the standout on this defense, maybe even of the whole team so far. I would love to see that continue this week, and you know, whether that's getting a pick of Carson Wentz or forcing a fumble or just be disruptive. Like, you know, that position, it doesn't even necessarily have to have a takeaway every week, but be disruptive. Like make a difference when you're on the field.
Right. Absolutely. And with the struggles that the defense had last week, it would be nice to see them take that kind of an, I wouldn't say an embarrassment. Well, yeah, maybe an embarrassment of a game that they had last week, use that as fuel and motivation to bounce back and have a nice dominant performance would be something I would like to see.
Yeah,
like you said, Roquan especially.
I know it's outside of his, normal play call, but I would even like to see Eberflus go a little aggressive tonight and call a few more blitzes than normal.
Right.
Overwhelm Carson Wentz, overwhelm a bad offensive line and a struggling offense in general, and just kind of, never really let them get into the game.
Right, because what do you utilize blitzes for, right? When your front four are having difficulty getting to the quarterback, like the Bears front four have, sending that extra guy or even two just to disrupt the quarterback, you're dealing with a wounded animal in Carson Wentz tonight, right?
Right.
The last thing I want to see is this guy go out there and just light up the Bears
and look like the Carson Wentz that everybody thought was going to be an MVP.
Right. That would be embarrassing, I think, more than anything.
Absolutely.
So my number 2, Luke Getsy. I think last week's play calling, especially in the second half, was a lot better. Fields only threw the ball 21 times, but I think they pick and chose their areas to be more aggressive with him. I like that. I also, I could throw Eberflus in here as well. I liked their aggressiveness on 4th down. I liked them going for 2. Some people didn't like the onside kick. I didn't mind it. Your defense was struggling. Give the ball back to your offense. But Getsy, I feel like in the beginning, obviously he's learning his players, right?
Right.
But I feel like, we're in week 6 now. Week 4 and 5, you've seen a little bit more progression from the offense, a little more throwing of the ball. I would like to see, him set Fields up in a position where, 250, 300 yards would be. I think if Fields can take that step with the offense, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that kind of goes to the wayside here is, other than Justin Fields, I think the most important person to this Bears offense is Luke Getsy.
Yep.
They're only gonna go as far as he takes them, and he's learning on the job too. He's learning how to be a play caller. He's a first-time play caller, so like you said, I think you're dead on. He's learning his players. He's learning what the realistic expectations are of each guy and what they're capable of and what he should expect to get out of them. And then he's also learning which plays are working, which ones are going to work, which ones aren't, which ones do they have a lot of success with. And they always say, like, no play caller is calling that play for that play. They're calling to set up something else.
Right.
So just would like to see, like you said, a full game of what we saw in the second half last week. See that from the start. Let him take his chances when they're there. Let him, make plays when they're not with his feet. Run the ball well. Get those slants and the screens. Get Justin comfortable early.
Right.
You said it best. If he hit a couple screens, a couple slants, next thing you know, he's got 4 or 5 completions, and we're in the first quarter. It's like, hey, we're kind of rolling here.
Yep.
Then Montgomery's looked really good this year when he's gotten the ball. So if Montgomery can run the ball and Herbert can add in his little bit, and you get the couple passes out of the backfield as well, I just think this is really set up really well for the Bears on both sides of the ball.
Something that I've also liked, last week is you've seen Cole Kmet kind of get a little more involved, right? Not so much just sticking to the line, helping block, but and he didn't have a massive game, but like we said, we're looking for those incremental growth.
Right. We're looking for the steps in the right direction.
Right. And to me, they're taking that step in the right direction. And our guy Tarbill, about time he jumped into YouTube instead of just on Facebook. But yeah, that kind of goes right into our number 1 for both of us, and my number 1, Justin Fields, your number 1, Justin Fields. And we talked about this in the pre-show. Obviously, for the whole season, he's probably going to be the most important player on this offense.
Right.
Luke Getsy, most important coach.
Right.
What do you hope to see from him tonight that'll help you, feel more confident about him continuing to grow?
I want to see a little more poise in the pocket. I want to look at him and I don't want to feel like, a lot of times and I get it, he hasn't played a lot in his career, but sometimes you look at him and you feel like he's a rookie.
Yep.
I wanna feel like he has a grasp of the offense. I'd really love to see them go no huddle a little bit and try to squeeze some more plays out of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think that maybe is a second half thing. Start whatever and then come out in the second half in no huddle. Because they tend to do better in the second half, and you don't want to go no huddle and go 3 and out, and
gas your defense.
You took 40 seconds off the clock, and you're Chip Kelly all of a sudden.
Right.
Your defense is out there 100 plays a game.
Yeah. That's okay.
But yeah, I'd like to see him a little more poise in the pocket. I'd like to see him just make decisions faster, get through the progressions, decide where you're going with the ball, decide you're going to run, decide you're going to get down. All those things, I just like to see them when the game starts to slow down and he starts making those decisions faster, he's just going to get that much better.
Right.
So I would just really, I just really want him to look the part.
My hope for Justin is, well, what I want to see is, everybody was so excited after Sunday's game, right? Oh, he looked so much better. He had a big command of a better command of the offense, big throws, big runs. But it was one game, right? I want to see this be, 1, 2, 4, 5 games in a row where he's putting together 200, 250 type of yardage. I'd like to see him a little more touchdown action, especially when they get down to the red zone. I hope that, like we talked a little bit earlier, that aggressiveness of Eberflus, I hope that he stays with that. If you're this season, you got nothing to lose, right?
Right.
So if your offense seems like, okay, they're kind of they're in this mode of maybe they're getting a little bit of a groove going, but it's 4th and 2, why not take a shot? Let your offense, because how else are these guys supposed to grow, especially Justin, right? 4th and 2, if you're around midfield, let him, let the offense do what they can do. Give this kid some more confidence. And then, you'll see that growth, hopefully, that continues to go, not just, like last year, right? We had the Steelers game and everybody was all hyped about that, but you didn't really see a lot of other performances like that last season. I don't want last week to be the Steelers game of this year. I want that to be just one of 5, 6, 7 games like that this year. Games.
I think the best way to put it is, I think we would like to see last week be his new floor.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
You're going to get at least that from him every week.
Right.
He's going to have weeks where he's better. He's going to have weeks where he's the same, but that's the floor. You're not going to get anything worse from him. I agree with you. I think there's times that they have to take a little more aggressive approach on 4th and 2 when the offense is close to really starting to click.
Yep.
And I think, you just tell your defense, hey, we're going to be aggressive on offense. We trust that you guys are going to hold up on defense, but we're going to be aggressive. We have 4th and 2, 4th and 3 around midfield. We're going for it. So you might be out there with half a field, but that's cool. We know you're going to get us the ball back. And, I know it's kind of not what we're talking about, but at the same time, the defense, they have to win on 3rd down. Too often do we see where the Bears get teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, first down. They play great on 1st and 2nd down, and then they give it up on 3rd. Like when you get them to 3rd down, you got to get off the field.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to get Justin Fields in this offense more plays per game.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first quarter of last week, they only had 1 drive.
Right.
The Vikings ate up all that clock because it was like, what was it, a 12 play drive for like 7.5 minutes. Then the next drive was like 11 plays for like 12 minutes. And it's like, Jesus, man, like no wonder the offense can't get into a rhythm, right? Because they don't have the ball.
Right. I mean, you see some of these offenses, they're getting 80 to 100 plays a game.
Right.
And you got the Bears that are getting, 40, 45 plays a game.
People want Justin to go out there and throw the ball, 35, 40 times, and he doesn't even get the offense doesn't even get the ball enough for that to be a realistic possibility.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they're not getting enough plays to even get plays established.
Right.
Where you say, okay, well, this is a staple of the offense because they don't get enough plays to establish anything.
Right. Or like plays where you built like, okay, I'm going to use this play
to
set up a play later on in the game.
Absolutely.
But they don't get that opportunity because they're not having the ball as often as they need to. So definitely. I think tonight, like we've stated, this is a big game in terms of it's prime time, right? The last few times the Bears have been on prime time, it has been rough watch, and they've kind of become the national joke. They've fallen into that, Cleveland Brown, Jacksonville Jaguar type of thought process in terms of why is this team even on prime time? Go out there, you're at home, you have the home crowd behind you. After last week's performance, I doubt that the home crowd would turn on this offense or this team completely and start booing if they're being aggressive. I think that's what fans want right now, right?
It's definitely what fans want.
Right. You want to be able to go out there and give your fans something to be excited for. Don't just go out there and, okay, well, on first down, we got a false start, and then on first down, we're going to run the ball to try to get some of those yards back. That's going to just set the whole game up for disaster. And our boy Tom down here, he definitely does not like the Bears being on prime time.
You got to stay out of the third and longs. You got to keep yourself in a position to stay ahead of the chains. And, like I said, with this team, no one's expecting them to go on this run and make the playoffs, compete for a Super Bowl. So when you get a game like this, where no matter how bad the Bears have played, you still feel you're better than Washington, you've got to go win that game. Like, you're not going to get many of those this year where you can look at the other team and go, we're that much better than the team that the Bears are playing.
Right.
When you get one, you got to make it count. You got to go out there and play like it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, Tar Bill's prediction for this game is 31-10. He said Redskins. Come on, man. They're the Commanders. So, 31. If the Bears put up 31 points tonight, I won't complain. I'll be follow me on Twitter. If the Bears put up 30 points tonight, it'll be over. I'll be just going wild. I don't even know. When was the last time the Bears put up 30 points in a game? I don't think they did it at all last year.
Hell no.
I mean, the Nagy offense was not much better than the first few weeks of this season. So, 31, I like it, Tarbill. I do. Vince, what are your predictions?
I think the Bears win. I think they win handedly. I think it's going to be 23-10, maybe 23-13 if they get a couple field goals for Washington. But, nowadays it's so easy to get field goals, man. You got these kickers kicking 55 plus field goals for nothing. But yeah, I think the Bears score a couple touchdowns. I think they get 2 to 3 field goals. The whole caveat to the prediction is if the defense scores. If the defense scores, well then, obviously they're going to have more points than we can guess. But just offensive alone, I think it's going to be 23-10.
23-10. That's and that's probably all they would need to win this game is about 23 points. My prediction is I want to see the Bears be aggressive, like I said earlier. I want to see them allow Justin in the red zone to throw the ball. I know that for some reason when they get to the red zone, they like to just like pound it in with the running back. But, if this guy's going to be your franchise quarterback, man, you have to let him go into the red zone and sink or swim.
And you've got to let him make mistakes. I mean, you've seen, we've seen it all. We've seen from high ends to Peyton Manning setting rookie records for interceptions. We've seen, guys like Marcus Mariota and other guys who have perfect red zone to start their career. None of it means anything. You gotta let these guys go out and make the mistakes now.
Right. How's he supposed to learn?
When he gets there next time, he's like, I threw this ball last time, and this dude took me to the house, or this dude picked it, or he broke it up, whatever. I know this time I got to be quicker to get rid of it. Stuff like that. He's not going to learn that by always running the ball in the red zone.
Right. And as a coaching staff, right, you're not going to learn what opportunities you have play calling wise if all you're doing is like, okay, well, we got 7 yards.
Right.
Give it
Especially
to the running
with
back.
a first-time play caller like Luke Getzey. Like, he's got to learn what plays work down there, too.
Right. And I predict that the Bears go out there and for once on primetime, they don't embarrass the fan base. They don't embarrass themselves. I think it's going to be 25 to 13. I think it's going to be a solid game.
How are you getting to 25?
Well, it's supposed to be really windy out there tonight.
So you're thinking
I'm thinking, right, a couple missed field goals.
Okay.
Santos has been pretty solid, but I feel like especially towards the end of the first half, the Bears are going to
try a long one.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's windy out there. The gusts get it, and next thing you know, you miss. You only got 6 points instead of 7.
Right. No, I like it.
So, plus I always feel like if it's going to be a fun game, it'd always be cool to see something different, like a safety or something.
I think, and not necessarily just this week, but I think going forward, I think getting N'Keal Harry involved, I think you're going to see them throw a little more in the red zone.
Right.
Because he is that big body to go up, to throw a fade, to just throw it up, let him go get it, that type of thing.
Right.
And, we can only hope.
That's 100% true. We can only hope. I would like to see a safety tonight. That'd be cool.
That would be, as long as it's the Bears defense getting it.
Yeah, not the Bears getting it.
Right.
That would just be fucking frustrating.
Right.
But we end the show kind of, we're a little early tonight, but we end the show how I end it every week. Packers suck. We talked about it. They lost to the Giants. We broke that on last week on Sunday before the Bears game.
After being up big.
Yeah, 19. They were up 19 points, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And third and 2, 4th and 2. Hey, why don't we give Rodgers the ball and see what he can do? Get that shit out of here, man. I think so. I live in Wisconsin.
It was a bad week for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams.
It was. Davante Adams over here fist fighting cameramen. And
was anybody saying anything up there? I know you're in Wisconsin.
So a lot of people make excuses. They're like, oh, well, the camera guy got in front of him.
So I heard, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I heard the biggest excuse I've ever heard made for anybody. Somebody had posted it on social media, and right away somebody commented on it and was like, he's really a nice guy. He's actually already come out and apologized.
Yeah, but then his apology was bogus as hell.
Well, but even if he did apologize like out his ass, like a great apology, it doesn't take away that he did it.
Right.
Like just because you say sorry after doesn't take away what you just did.
Right.
Like he literally threw the dude to the ground for no reason. Like the guy wasn't even in his way. Like the guy was.
It looked like the guy was trying to go around him.
Right, and he just threw him to the ground. I saw a thing today that. First off, did you know that this is my question for everybody today? So I had to ask you too. Did you know that Randy Johnson, the pitcher?
Yeah.
Do you know that he's an official NFL photographer?
So I did not know that until I had seen it on social media.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. And I was like, no.
Yeah. And there he is, just standing behind the camera.
I remember way back when he stopped playing that he was wanting to get into that. I didn't realize that he had progressed all the way to the point where he's an official NFL photographer.
Yeah, with the big unit.
So they were saying that's one cameraman that Davante Adams doesn't want to run into.
Yeah, throw a ball at his face. Remember when he beamed that bird?
Yeah, when he hit the bird exploded.
That bird.
So apparently I didn't see it, but they were talking about it. Apparently his logo for his photography company is something like along a ball blowing up a bird.
Well, you know what?
You're gonna
I can look it up right now. Sure enough, the image will do justice. It
Right.
is Randy Johnson photography with. Hold on, let it settle in. It's
Can't
not
see
going
it.
to.
It's too bright.
It is too bright. So you know what we're gonna do? We'll continue to talk, but I am gonna do some magic real quick.
But yeah, so I'm watching. I see it come up on social media, and I'm like, that dude looks like Randy Johnson. And sure enough, it was Randy Johnson. He's got the big, that big camera that professionals use.
Yep.
He had one. It looks like a telescope, but it's a camera.
Yep.
He was using that, and he was like, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, how you like to go to a football game and you're like, oh, look at, excuse me, sir, can you get out of the way? Holy shit, Randy Johnson.
It's Randy Johnson out there? The
Right.
big unit?
Right.
Every time I hear his nickname, I always think of Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
And he's like, why does everybody want to see my unit? Like,
Yeah.
bro.
But you're like this, where's this 7-foot dude with a camera in the way?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, can you get down in front? And he turns around, you're like, holy shit, Hall of Famer Randy Johnson.
Yep. So here's the logo.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a dead bird on it. That's fantastic.
That really is.
That is fantastic. I mean, that's kind of what he's obviously known for his pitching, but
right. But even people who don't know him, like, you're like, oh, you show them, oh, I seen this, and the bird explodes. Like,
yeah, don't be a bird.
Don't be a bird
Randy
flying
Johnson's
in Randy
around.
Johnson's
That's
path.
The big unit will take you out.
Right.
Oh shit. Well, man, we kind of talked about everything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was no mocking, so I didn't have a chance to play this.
Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
Which is one of my favorite drops that I have.
That
on here.
is one of your favorites.
I love that drop. So, sometimes I hope that comments are trying to mock me, or you or Tarbill try to mock me, just so I can do that drop.
So Bella has learned to say no.
Yeah.
She watches Miss Rachel a lot. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Nope.
So there's this lady named Miss Rachel. She's on YouTube, and she's got a bunch of different videos, and they're like songs and different things for infants and toddlers. And they do the sign language in a lot of them. And one of them, she says, say no, no, no. So now Bella says no, no, no. And like you ask her if she wants something, and she's like, so she doesn't say yes yet. She only says no.
Right.
The other day, we were at Mia's softball tournament, and my dad was there, and he was like, what, does she only say no? She never says hi? I'm like, she's more about buys than highs.
Yeah.
Kind of buzzed out the Jay Cutler.
That's the Cutler right there. Yeah. I should get that drop too.
Right.
And maybe
I'm more
we'll do
about
that
buys than highs.
Yeah, I love that, bro. He was fantastic in that show.
Yeah.
That's another topic for a completely different show.
Right.
But anytime I can use
Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
2 for today, just because I wanted to, just because I can.
Just because
I'm in control of this crazy train, But thanks everybody for tuning in. Bears and Commanders kick off in about an hour. Get your snacks ready.
I'll be
get
bowling.
hunkered down. Yeah, you're gonna be bowling, so don't throw the bowling ball at the TV if there are any over there.
It might upset me. Everybody's been warned.
I'm gonna be a glass half full kind of guy tonight.
No, I'm gonna be a glass full kind of guy.
Yeah, overflowing Kool-Aid.
They're good. They're gonna dominate from start to finish, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid the whole game.
Kool-Aid, I love it, man. I gotta get a drop of the Kool-Aid guy kicking down the wall.
And you know what's funny? This has nothing to do with anything, but my favorite drink, anytime I go to McDonald's or whatever, my favorite drink is Orange High C.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yep.
So I think it's gonna be my.
I love that. That was my favorite drink too, and now obviously, I'm trying to change some of my habits. So now water is kind of my best friend. So, it's not as frisky as Orange High C.
You know what you got to get, and after I say this, I think they should be a sponsor because I'm using their name. But the Circle water bottle, have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay, so Circle water bottle. I think it's CURKUL or CIRKUL. It's a water bottle, and the top of it is a flavor filter.
Oh,
and it has a setting on it.
I see it right
1
here.
through 5. You determine how much flavor comes through and how much water comes through. So you're, because a lot of them, the biggest hit on a lot of them is that you're drinking not water. You're drinking like flavored shit or chemical shit, all these different things. Well, that you're actually drinking a bottle of water. It's just adding flavor to the water.
Right.
So, and they got like, you go to circle.com. I think you can set it up for every month. It's like you get 8 different flavors for like $20.
I'm looking at this shit right now,
Yeah.
and I'm about to. That might be one of those.
I got one. Melissa's got one. Mia's got one. Bella drinks mine all the time because she drinks everything I have.
Yeah, that's what kids do.
Yeah,
you were talking about her saying no.
Mhm.
When Angelo went through that phase, learning how to talk, he would use no for everything, even
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
He'd be like, "Hey, do you want to go?" No, like, well, I know you do.
Right.
Yeah, so he goes.
But I was like, when she's eating, like, I'll ask her if she wants something, and she'll be like, and shake her head no and look at me, and then she'll reach for it. Like, give me it. Like, why didn't you give me it? I'm like, well, you just said no.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, on that note, we threw a couple of products out there, and
Yeah,
we've seen Cutler a few times. We learned Randy Johnson's photography logo.
Right.
I don't really know what else is left other than to say, go Bears and enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll see you guys.
Pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, for Turtles Take. And then, we have pretty special show coming up, I think, next Sunday or Tuesday. We're not 100% sure about the
which, but one of them is going to be super good.
It's either going to be Tuesday or Sunday. We're going to have a really rock solid guest that most of the people who follow the Chicago sports podcasting world are familiar with. Big time name for us to get, which we're pretty excited for. So we'll see you guys next week. Go Bears and enjoy the game.